Hello guys and welcome back to the channel, and it is once again time for our weekend review. So we're going to go through everything in the Premier League, everything in the Championship, everything in the Bundesliga, everything in the Liga, everything in Serie A and everything in Liga 1, and then having my team of the week as well, and then also going through a topic of the week. And the topic of the week this week is how are the January transfer signings going on in the Premier League. Specifically, we're talking about how are they doing in the Premier League, and are they doing the job that they're meant to do, which is affecting how the teams are playing the game. Let's get straight into it. You know what? I think I might. No, should we take my glasses off? No, we'll keep my glasses on. Sorry, decisions to be made here. You know, big weekend here. Oh my god, that is so loud. Doesn't it need to be that loud? No. But here we are. Starting off with United's game. United versus Everton, ending 2-0. And we got 2 penalties from it. Garnacho was kind of running the show, I'd say, from it all. Got both penalties. But I won't say anyone had the best of games in that game for United. But 3 points is 3 points. We'll take the 3 points and we're happy to take it. Everton, on the other hand, will be very frustrated with themselves. I saw a stat saying they've had 47 shots against United this season in the 2 games they played and got 0 goals from them shots. Now that's a poor part of Everton's play. And it shows how bad our defensive situation is right now, letting that many shots go on against us. No wonder Onana gets put under so much just minuscule decisions to make. He doesn't need to be made. He had a really good game against Everton, but he needs that protection in front of him as well. That's what's going to help us be better in the future. Like, we've got to think about this stuff right now. However, Everton have got to look at it in their perspective of they need to get better at scoring these chances. They need to, you know, make these chances work for them better. I think the 2 wingers, Harrison and McNeil, both really well. They just need a better striker. Calvert-Lewin and Beto and Chimete just aren't them guys to be doing that for them. So yeah, they just need to get a better striker in the summer. Obviously, they couldn't get one in the January transfer window. They're already under enough financial fair play regulations. So yeah, Bournemouth in a 2-2 draw with Sheffield. Sheffield got 2 goals. Yeah, Haymart, I'd say, he got 1 of the goals. He's just too good for Sheffield in total. And I just feel like Sheffield still looks poor. They were leading the game 2-0 and still looks poor. Slanky gave me a lot of pain on FPL, which we'll speak about later in the week when we talk about my FPL. But missing that penalty, Bournemouth were the creators of their own demise there, because the pitch was already wet and they decided to wet the pitch even more. Slanky slipped, missed the penalty, but it was they just need to figure out what they're doing, because they've had really good spells this year, Bournemouth, and they can move up the table, but performances like this are going to be the reason that they're going to be down there in that relegation battle towards the end of the season. But obviously, with the likes of Sheffield and Burnley in the league, it's not that much of a relegation battle. Palace drawing with Luton, a big result for Luton this, with a 96 minute from Woodrow, 90-minute winner from Woodrow, I should say. His last goal was 10 years ago against Palace, which is his last Premier League goal. Sorry, he's scored another goal since. Otherwise, he'd be a pretty crap striker. I think he'd retired by now. But yeah, Palace still look promising, I'd say. The Mateta goal was really nicely taken, and Palace probably deserved to win the game, but it's that Luton fight. They continue fighting, and it's good. It's nice to see Luton continue fighting in the league. I'm happy to see it. Wolves versus Fulham ended 2-1. I backed Fulham on this on my Super 6, and I'm surprised they didn't win. Wolves were really hit. They had Neto go off with a hamstring injury, but yeah, they still pushed on. They showed how good Gary O'Neill is as a manager, and yeah, it's fair play to Wolves getting the wins where they need them, and now they're moving up and trying to get that European spot. They're doing what Aston Villa did last year, and they're going, you guys think we're going down? Nah, we'll get Europe, and they might push for it towards the end, which would be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind it. With the way Brighton are playing, the way West Ham are dropping down now, Wolves could really have a real good push on here for Europe, which they got a few years ago and they didn't work out, but they could definitely give it a go under Gary O'Neill. Arsenal 2-1 against Brentford. This was, the Arsenal fans will be loving this result. It's a win on the weekend, and a weekend of a result which we'll talk about later, because it wasn't, talk about the other results first. Arsenal 2-1 though. Havertz on form right now, and I think Havertz's form is just doing so well and taking him by surprise. It's taken up from Rice's form. Rice has been on really good form as well recently, but obviously Rice is at higher levels usually. I think he's just gone to another level recently, and I think he deserves a bit more praise than he's getting. And then a Ramsdale error Raya couldn't play this game because it was against his home team. But yeah, Ramsdale's error is probably his big farewell to this Arsenal team. He probably goes somewhere else. I don't know where he's going to go. I said he could go Brentford, to fair, in my early transfer videos back in January, and I think that's still a possibility for him. The way Flecken is a bit iffy still, I think Ramsdale will be a really good signing for any Prem team that's in that mid-range, just not one of the top teams. Villa versus Spurs, ending 4-0 to Spurs, took everyone by surprise, I'd imagine, because Villa have been on really good form all year, and even especially against these big six teams where you might usually see them slip up, they perform. They got winning against Arsenal and they're winning against City, and they don't play Liverpool at Villa Park towards the end of the season. But 4-0 from Spurs is going to have people licking their lips. It's the Ange show, he just gets his results when he needs these results, and it's pushing for that Champions League spot, which, we might get through the coefficient in 5th place, but that can't be guaranteed in the Premier League right now. The way the Premier League teams are playing in the Champions League, Europa League and the Conference League, Villa are doing alright, but Liverpool are the only ones that have won their game in the Europa League, and it's just Arsenal and City left, and Arsenal lost their first game in the Champions League, so we're probably going to have 4 spots next year in the Champions League unless we have a massive turnaround in our fixtures. In all fairness though, Villa were sloppy in this game. Hopefully, they were trying to hold back for the big game in the Conference League that they've got to get to the next round, and McGinn just lost his temper, so you won't be seeing him anywhere but these European games for the next few weeks after he got a red card. Brighton versus Forest was a very, very dull affair, 1-0, and the main highlight really was the fact that Moder should have probably been sent off. He had a really awful foul on one of the Forest. I can't remember what Forest player it was, but yeah, Brighton, they just look a bit stinky right now. They got away with this, I'd say. They got away with a big one here, and yeah, it just shows they can get a result. They got hammered midweek by Roma, and I don't know what's happened to them. I honestly don't know what's happened to Brighton this year. They've been so up and down, and I think that really puts a question mark on De Zerbi as well. There's a lot of clubs looking at him right now. Apparently United want him. I don't know if I do. I don't know if I personally want him, but it's not my decision to make it in the day, is it? West Ham 2-2 draw with Burnley, and I tell you what, that Datro Fofana is a baller. He is a unbelievable baller. The goal he scored in that game, go check it out on the Sky Sports highlights. Immense, crazy. Go watch Match of the Day, whatever you're going to watch it on YouTube, you can find that Fofana goal. It's a belting goal, and it shows us how much better he is than the rest of that Burnley team. Once he goes back to Chelsea, he should be getting in that Chelsea team. He's playing really well right now. And then Burge, sorry, I'm losing myself here. I'm going a bit iffy all over the place. West Ham have been having an odd season, like Brighton. I'd say they've been very up and down, but they managed to get the points here. And it was, Ings, one of the old boys, getting that 2-2 draw for him. I think Paqueta took his goal really nicely, but Ings came on that pitch and had one thought in his mind. He's like, I'm getting a goal today. He hit the bar, he was offside for one, and then he got that winner. He got the equaliser. He got that goal that he needed. He got the goal that he was dying for. He should have probably got the winner as well, with the one that hit the crossbar. It was what a shot that it was, and what a goal it would have been if it was just a few inches lower. And then, this should have been, West Ham should have won this game, because there was a bit where Burge had his hand out like that and it bounced off both arms, and the ref just ignored it. VAR just ignored it, and it just baffled me. I just don't like speaking about VAR, because it is honestly used so dreadfully. The referees in this country are so brain dead, it is insane. However, getting off the rant about VAR, let's go on to the big highlight game of the weekend. Liverpool versus Man City. Klopp's farewell tour, and it's his farewell to Pep Guardiola probably as well. Hopefully, if we beat him next week in the FA Cup, it will be his last game against Pep Guardiola in the Premier League whilst he goes to manage Liverpool and City. Obviously, Klopp's retiring this summer, but Ferguson was retiring a few times, it never happened. Luis Diaz was trying his hardest not to score this game, it seemed, but he did have a little nice clip to put Kyle Walker in, which I didn't mind. City, they just lost it in the second half. They had a good first half, I'd say, but in that second half, there was nowhere to be seen. They was just disappeared, vanished, see ya later, done. and it was crazy to see. And Haaland once again vanishing in the big games. You talk about you got a goal against United last week, but was it a relevant goal? Was it? He missed big chances to make that would have mattered, but Haaland in his big games, he vanishes a bit. He just does. And then there was a KDB argument with Pep, which was ongoing for quite a while, to be fair. Weird to see KDB lose his temper like that towards Pep, and it shows there's a bit of an iffy one there. That if that happened in the United camp, that would have been the news for the next week. But it happened at City, so it should be the news for next week, hopefully. And then the big bit of the game, oh my god, it should have been a penalty. It should have been. Nigel the Doku, it was going in, karate kicking all over the place, and booting McAllister in the ribs. It's a penalty. It just is a penalty. There's a ball. It doesn't matter. You see how high his foot was? It happened a couple of years ago in this same game. Mane did it to Edison, and Mane got sent off. Doku deserved the same treatment for what he did here, and City really should have lost that game. But it's time to stop the negatives and go on to my team of the week, the best team of this week. And in that, I'm going on now. I told you he had a good game against Everton. I know he was only against Everton, but he had a good game, and he's going in the team. Kwanzaa, Van Dijk and Stones get in the back. I think Stones, that set piece was a really nice goal, so yeah, Stones gets in, and then Van Dijk and Kwanzaa had a really good game. This was Kwanzaa's sixth Premier League start of all his career, and he put performance like that in. Team of the week. And Van Dijk, any performance he puts in, team of the week. Lemina and Havertz and Bruno and Nori get into that midfield 4 across. I said I don't really have a formation here, it's just naming you 11 players basically, but yeah, that's midfield. I think Bruno had a good game against Everton. Lemina had a really good game, powering through to get that Wolves result. Havertz, once again, as I said, been on real good form, scoring, and Nori had a good goal as well for Wolves. And then the front three of Son, he had a really good game against Villa. He ran the show, 2 assists and the goal. He was all over it. Woodrow, getting that 96-minute equaliser. I just had to get him in the team for it. Equaliser like that. And then Unal getting that late equaliser as well. I could have got Ings in this team. It would have been nice to see Son on that midfield, and then Ings, Woodrow, Unal as the front three, all getting late equalisers to get their team's vital results in the season. It's what you like to see in football. But no, I've gone with a bit different, because I like that goal. It was just a nice taking goal. On to what's happened in the Championship this weekend, and we're talking about our 4 main teams, because Ipswich lost, Leicester dropped points, and then Leeds and Southampton won, meaning it's real tight at the top right now. It's getting close to the end of the season, and I could not tell you who's going to win that league. Leicester are obviously still the favourites, I'd say, but they've got a tough run in. They've got to play Ipswich away. It's all going to come down to it. I'm going to do a video next week, I think, during the international break, talking about what I think is going to happen in the Championship and that rundown. I'll probably talk about League 1 and League 2 as well in the video. Just do a EFL vid altogether. In the Bundesliga, Leverkusen continue to win with a 2-0 win over Wolfsburg. And then the highlight game of the weekend, Bayern Munich beating Mainz 8-1. The anger that they've had just built up from this Leverkusen season of Leverkusen running away with the league. They just had that anger beating up, and they just went, Mainz, I'm looking at you. I'm going to beat the living crap out of you. And Kane got 3 goals in the game. Goretzka got 2. It was just a complete rollover. At half time, it was 3-1. Mainz would have gone into second half going, you know what? We've seen teams get results against. And Bayern just came out second half and went, go down. 5 goals in that second half. Crazy stuff. But Leverkusen still, going ahead, not getting beat, and drifting the season away. La Liga, Real Madrid won 4-0 and continue to push the season away from anyone else and go on for another title under Ancelotti, as Ancelotti has been doing. He is the guy. When the game is weird, it's 2 own goals in the game, which is always weird to see. That 1 own goal, but 2 own goals in the game. Weird to see. And then I'd say the big highlight I'll bring out here is Cadiz beating Atletico Madrid 2-0. Right before Atletico have a big game in the Champions League this week, losing a game against Cadiz, it's not the best sign from really. Serie A time, and we're talking about Bologna versus Inter. Big game at the top there. There's a massive game. Thiago Motta's having a really good season at Bologna with the way he's set up in his, he calls it a 2-7-2. I will talk about that I've got some manager videos coming out soon. We'll talk about that in them. But Inter got the win still, as they have been doing all season, and now they go 16 points ahead because Juve dropped points to Atalanta. Inter now 16 points ahead, so in 5 games time, it's continue winning. They've won the league, sorted, done. Everyone else can win their games as well. Inter win the league in 5 games, and they'll probably do it sooner than that, the way they're playing and the way everyone else is dropping points like flies. Inter are going to win that league very, very soon. I think Inter will probably be the first to be announced as league champions in Europe of these top 5 leagues on this bit of series. Inter are probably going to be the first team that I say they've won the league. Ligue 1, PSG dropped points to Reims. That's what I'm saying, it is Inter that's probably going to be the first one in this series to go. They've won the league. David saves Lille against Rennes in that 2-2 draw. He pulls it out, and Aubameyang is having the time of his life with another 2 goals against Nantes for Marseille, and he's having a good time out there, isn't he? And it's nice to see him revitalise his career out in France. It's good to see, and you know what? They might push on for that Europa League this year. We'll wait and see on that one, because right now I'd say they're outside favourites behind Liverpool and Leverkusen. On to the topic of the week. As I said, we're talking about today January transfer signings and how are they doing at the clubs right now. I've selected about 15 here to talk about. I'm just going to talk about them briefly as quick as we can and get this video out of the way with. Unal at Bournemouth, scored the equaliser this week, so he's had a pretty good time. I must say, it took a while to start. He's had a stint in the Prem before. He knows what it's like in the Prem. But yeah, getting that equaliser for Bournemouth has solidified his place of, he's having a good time. Reguilon for Brentford. I think Reguilon's been probably the signing of that January transfer. I might speak about some people there and go, oh, actually, it's probably him. But Reguilon's had a really good impact at Brentford. Brentford have been hit by a lot of injuries in the defence, and he's really just slotted into the team, had no complaints, and just gone for it. And I think he's had a good time there. Dacho Fofana, I spoke about before. What an unbelievable footballer he is. He's going to be something special in the future. But what a goal he scored for Burnley. Props to him. It was a good goal, and I think he's doing well. Burnley needs to sign a player that's going to try and keep him up, and Dacho Fofana's that guy that's going to try and keep him up. I feel like in every game that I've seen him, he's tried to score, he's been pushing on, he's been having a good time with it. Munoz for Palace, the Colombian, I think he's Colombian, or is he Venezuelan? He is South American. He's South American right back. Palace has been screaming for a right back, and I think he had a good few games. I think he had a shaky start, but now he's really just coming to his own, and he's having a good time at Palace. So I think he's doing exactly what Palace would need him for, that right back role. Another one that went to Palace was Adam Wharton from Blackburn. Is a big sign in this, and I feel like he's quite slotted in as well. He's not being as many plaudits, but I think he's been playing alright for Palace in this past couple of weeks, and under this new manager, hopefully he can fly a bit more. Broha for Fulham, I want to see this guy more. That's all I want to say. Fulham will sign this guy to get more goals, to replace Mitrovic, what Mitrovic was doing last season. Obviously Muniz has hit a bit of form right now, but I think Broha is the guy to go forward with. Broha gives off a lot more Mitrovic vibes than Muniz does. He's a strong attacker, and as you saw in the game this weekend, he gets everything towards goal. He needs to be getting into the game more. He needs to be getting a lot more game time for Fulham. That's all I say on that. Sells for Forest, and I thought he'd be doing alright. I think he'd be a good replacement of Turner or Lacademos. Been rotating the keepers a lot this season. I think Sells is the best of the 3, but he did make a big error against Brighton. I think he was unlucky in the error, but it was still an error that you got to point out, you got to talk about, you got to say the error was there. It was probably unlucky from him, but yeah, that's all I've got to say on that. And then Reina from Forest, I've just not seen the guy. I've honestly just not seen the guy or heard of the guy do anything since coming to Forest. Obviously I've heard of him before, but he's just not done naff. He's just done naff since going to Forest, and it's just a poor transfer. Forest, you're down the relegation zone, probably get a point deduction, you're going to sign a player, it's going to be a necessary player that's going to change your season, and I just don't think he was necessary. You had Sudden-Odoi, you had Elanga, and why have you got Reina? He's not done anything for you. Gribic at Sheffield, I think he's an improvement on Fotheringham, but it's not what they needed. They needed probably more defensive stability. They did sign Hargate, but that has proven to be awful. A red card in his second game for a reckless challenge, and he's just a poor signing, really, isn't it? Mason Allgate just. He's robbed a living off Sheffield there, and they're probably going to get relegated because of his poor decisions. Brereton Diaz, who's now been dropped from the Chile squad because he's still not learned Spanish, and the coach was just like, well, you've had long enough, mate, so get out of it, you're done. He had an alright start. I've got to say, he had an alright start, but since that alright start, he's not really done much. He got 3 goals in 3 games, I think it was, and then nothing since. You can do better than that. You can do better than that. On to Spurs, who signed Werner, and I think, you know what, it took a couple games, but he's in the system now. He knows what his role is, and he's back-to-back goals now in back-to-back games. He's found his place, and I think Spurs might try and make this signing permanent. I know obviously Werner's a striker, but Ange's like, you know, I'm going to play him out on the left wing, I'm going to play Son up front, and, you know, people might go, oh, just put it around, but I think it's working for him, and if it's working for you, it's working for you, and I think Werner can help him push on late into the season to try and get that Champions League spot, and next year, do the same for him, and that's obviously what Spurs are aiming for, to get in the Champions League spots, and then maybe give it a title push. That's what Spurs are hoping for. And then on to the final one, Calvin Phillips to West Ham. This is probably the poorest one. There's been a few poor ones that I've named there, like Holgate, but Phillips has been just surrounded by mistakes, mistake after mistake. West Ham fans are really disliking him. Moyes is trying to make it work, but it's ruining Moyes' reputation with the West Ham fans for trying to make it work. Obviously, it's only a loan deal, but man, Phillips has been ruined by Say. Honestly, ruined. I think players need to start looking at what's happened here with Phillips, and, you know, deciding, is it best for them to go to City and sit on that bench for months on end? Because if it's not what you're expecting, why go to City? There's a lot of players that go to City for big money and just end up sitting on the bench because they can't afford to do that. Like, you know, United, we still play Anthony every week because we can't afford to waste that money just willy-nilly because the Glazers don't give us that money. We're in debt enough. It's insane. But yeah, that's how the January transfer signings are doing. Let me know how you feel about your club's January transfer signings, if your club made any, and how you feel about the players that let go in January and stuff like that. I know it's been a couple of months, but it's been a couple of months to settle in and see how things are going. And some things are going well for some things are going well for some things are going awful for others. If you like the video, please leave a like, guys. Just comment something, just chat to me about football. That's what I want to hear. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, leave a like, and you'll see more, subscribe, because there's more of this every single week, and I'll try and post every day as well. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.